In this demonstration, we'll cover the formatting of cells. So I've gone ahead and created a sample spreadsheet here that represents a grading sheet that you might find in one of the courses. In this case here, there's two tests, an exam and a final grade. And we're going to leave the final grade column blank right now just because in the next demonstration we'll talk about how you can actually use a function to calculate the final grade, so you don't have to pull out a calculator and do it yourself. So just like in Microsoft Word, how you have different levels of formatting, you have the same type of levels within Microsoft Excel. So your character level formatting you can apply to each individual character. So if I take this name here and I double click on the cell to activate it, I get the insertion point here and I can highlight individual characters. So if I wanted to make, say, the first letter of the word bold, I can do that, and it only applies to that character. And say I can make the rest of those characters a red color. So everything up here in the font area is applied on a character level, so each individual character. Now certain things like alignment are done on the cell by itself. So if I were to take this, well, let's look at this name here, Joe. Say I want to right align Joe. I can't just right align an individual character. So you notice how when I selected this character up here, this whole alignment on the ribbon up here actually went disabled because I can't right align just an individual character. I can, however, right align an entire cell. So if I click this button here to right align it, you notice that the whole cell went over to the right. So let's just put that back. So to see all the formatting options for a cell, you can right click on the cell and click on Format Cells. And a lot of these options that you see here up here on the ribbon anyhow, except you're going to see all the different options in this dialog box. So all the different options are on these different tabs up here. So there's 6 tabs, and for now we're going to ignore the number tab because we'll cover that in the next demonstration. So this tab here is going to have to do with alignment. So we just right aligned a cell, so that would be the same thing as going to the horizontal text alignment here and going the right alignment. So if we do right and we hit OK, you'll notice that the cell that I was on just became right aligned. Now if you want to do it to a series of cells, you don't want to have to do it per cell, you can highlight all the cells that you want to apply formatting to. So if we wanted to make these 5 cells in the heading all right aligned, we can highlight them all. I'm just dragging the mouse holding down the left mouse button. Or you can alternately hold down the Shift or the Control key, just like when you're selecting files in an earlier demonstration. So if I click on the first cell and then I hit the Shift key and then I click on the last cell here, it'll select everything in between, and it'll also do that in multiple dimensions. So if I were to click on the first cell here, hold down the Shift key and click on cell G6, which my mouse is over right now, and I click, you're going to select everything in a box format. So in this case here, if you want to put everything right aligned in these looks like 20 cells, we can now right click, Format Cells, change horizontal to right, and now everything, all these cells are right aligned. So let's see what other options there are. Let's just select the heading here and go Format Cells. You can also do vertical alignment. So let's put that, right now it's defaulted at the bottom. So let's just go back here. If we change the height of this row, you'll notice that the text is aligned at the bottom vertically. Now if we want to change that to say the middle, we can change the vertical alignment to say the center. Hit OK, and now you notice that they're centered in the middle vertically. Some other things that you can do, you can do a wrap text or a shrink to fit. So let's try a wrap text. And you don't notice anything happened right now. That's because we have to start typing in more information into the cell to have it wrap around. So if I type in final exam, see how it just wrapped there? And we'll say maybe the final exam is worth 90%. So you'll notice that the text actually wrapped down to the next line. If you turn that off, let's turn that off on this cell here, you'll notice how it doesn't wrap. It's all in one line, but part of it's cut off because then we have to actually enlarge the cell to see all the text. So let's put that back to just final grade, and we'll bring that the width back down to normal size. Also the option to fit to cell. So let's go Format Cells, and we will go, actually we can't do that. What we have to do is we have to disable the wrap text first before we can enable the shrink to fit. So let's say shrink to fit on all of these. Now you'll notice if you start typing in more letters, you'll see that the size of the text actually adjusts to always make it fit. So that comes in very handy sometimes if you're having difficulty finding the right size of text and the right widths of your cells. So I'm just going to change that back real quick. And now it hasn't wrapped yet, so let's just put it back down to what it was before, just exam. Okay, so some other options. Let's take the heading columns up here again and go to Format Cells. Obviously we can change the font, we can change the style, regular, italic, bold, the size of the font. We can change the color of the font, say we want to use a blue color. All these different effects are here, so if you want to do a strike through, superscript, subscript. You'll notice there aren't as many effects as you had in Microsoft Word. We can also change the border on those cells. So in this case here, let me just move this out of the way here. If we want to put a border around all five of these headings here, first we select the style of line that we want. So say we want a really thick border, so select the style and then tell it where you want on these cells. So there are some predefined these presets up here. So if we just want the outline, this represents the cells that you're putting the border around down here. So it'll put the border around the outside box. Now if you didn't like that, say you wanted to not have one on the left, you can uncheck that, and let's just hit OK. And now you'll notice when I click off here, the border is all the way around all five of these, and there's a border missing on the left hand side. So let's just leave it on the bottom. So what we'll do is we'll uncheck the top and the right here and just leave it on the bottom. Also you can do different line styles on different sides of the cells. So if you wanted a dotted line, say on the right and left, we can do that just by selecting the dotted line and then clicking on the right and the left here. So there we have it there. And let's see what else we have here. That's the border. We can also fill our cells with a background color. So say we'll fill it in with a light blue. So because I selected these three cells, now they have a light blue background. Let's try something different with all these numbers in here. We'll go Format Cells. You can also do some fill effects if you want to do some gradients. So here's some samples down here of you can have different gradients going from one color to another if you want something really fancy. So say you want to go white to blue, or you can do like a pink to a blue, and it'll show you a sample down here of what it's going to be filled in with. So let's hit OK. And now it's filled in each cell, and you can see how there's a gradient going from a blue to a pinkish color. Let's select these three cells here, go back to Format Cells. And what else do we have here? We have different patterns as well. So say you don't want to fill it in with a solid color, you can fill in different percentages, different transparencies here, or diagonal stripes. So see down here, it'll give you a preview of what the background is going to look like down here under the sample. So that doesn't look very pretty, but it does demonstrate the patterns that you can overlay on top of a cell. So that concludes this demonstration. There's lots of different formatting that you can do. So you should be experimenting to see what other formatting attributes you can apply to different cells.